Don't worry, it's fine.
This out, again. Hello, people. We're here. Oh, Akiva's here. That's so nice. Hi there. And Aaron is here. See, Aaron, you already opened up without me asking. That's very nice. Okay. Where's Mayor? I need Mayor. Where is he? He's not here. Okay. Shine. Okay. What can I do? Okay, let's go to the mark. I have some Sanhedrin form. I've decided not to say Shir and Av because I have 2 Masechtas to prepare. I'm going to be busy. I'm learning Psachim and Kiddushin. And I have my 3rd Masechta, which I do on my own anyway. Okay, when we're doing next year, we want to know Peiros. Okay. So, but I don't have to prepare. That prepare means to not learn, to learn. Lilmoid and the Almanas Lamed. This is the Ben Zmanim is for the Almanas Lamed. The Lilmoid is during this month. Okay, yes, I have to prepare. Good. Okay, so we wrote down what we came with. Waiting for you to, because you can't be having the 7 and you're a black box. And Yossi Reback just showed up. Hi, Yossi. Hi. Slowly but surely. You never get on Jews, huh? They always come a little late, but they come. You're like Mashiach. Mashiach is also a little late, but we never give up. He comes. You know what I mean? That's the way it works. Good boy. Hey, laugh at. I talk to my boys. I'm ignoring them when I talk to you. It's pretty lousy. It was much easier when I spoke directly on Zoom. I felt I was talking directly to everybody. Now I feel like I ignore them. Okay. It's all in the heart. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. So what we came up with as follows. We saw the Brisa, just summed this up in 2 minutes. We saw the Brisa, and we saw that there was a tzad lechatchil. The Brisa was that the tzad was just Riyah without Agada. Then the Chiddush is an Agada. Then we had a tzad svara chitzona. That once it's Riyah and Agada, so you had to have a tzirvut and Riyah and Agada. And the maskana is it no Riyah Agada tell you you don't need a tzirvut and Riyah and Agada. That's the flow of the Brisa. Okay, it's at the Sefta. You really want to know in Sanhedrin. In Perik Hay, but it's the Bryce's button, Erichin button over here in Kufkokres. It's a good old-fashioned Tosefta that you can look up in Perik Hay, Bryce Dalit. That's really where that's the hub of it for real. It's kedai to see. Okay. Now we pointed out what's the movement. So the original movement was you understood that there's no din of Agada, because Agada is nothing more than the realization of what you saw. Your terrorist aidus is the seeing. If the information internalized was through a kosher aid, so that's called raw material, which can be processed into evidence. That's what I'm saying, a rias aidus. Ria doesn't mean ria. Ria is the tool of yediyah. You see, by a simon muvik, even hypothetically, would also be enough. Okay, it's lav dafka with ria, it could be with simon. If you thought that simon was kosher, was also enough. Okay, so I'm trying to say that what is it means to say internalizing the information about the dogma about the Eidav and Nikel, if you recall, which is the Eidus of Eichul Shemaim Va'oretz and the Eidus, etc., of all these different things that we're Eidim for. Okay, we all know that. That's why Shema, the ayin is big, right? We know the Shema, the ayin, and the Dalet. That's the percent of the Gemara. Kila Eidus Sheker, if you recall, the Gemara in Brachos, Daf Yudal Amud Beis. No, Daf Yudal Amud Beis. But the Gemara says the person puts on, it says Kriyat Shema doesn't put on tefillin, Kila Meid Eidus Sheker. So Shitas Rashi, it's Machlekes Rashi and Rambam. Shitas Rashi is that the Shema Yisrael is an Eidus Sheker. Why is Shema Yisrael called an Eidus Sheker? Because Shema Yisrael is called Eidus. That's how Rashi understands the Gemara. The Balaturim Taka writes that that's why the ayin and the dalet are different sizes in the Sefer Torah, because that's how you aid. That's a Balaturim. But that's a drasha, but it's a remez. But the emes is a prosti Gemara. That's what I'm trying to say. The Gemara called, according to Rashi and most Rishonim. Except for Rama, which doesn't put in Hilchos Kriyat Shema, he puts in Hilchos Tefillin. Because he thinks that the Tefillin is the Eidus. That's a Gemara, Rashi and Brachos. That's a Gemara in Brachos, a very interesting Gemara in Brachos. I'll tell you guys, Gemara in Brachos. This means instead of Musar. The Gemara says that you're not supposed to be Malapif Schleik. You're supposed to have certain Kavod Rosh. You can't walk around, giggling all day. You have to have a certain sense of sound of Kavod Rosh. So the Gemara says that there was an Absamira there, which was a Mebadech Tuva. See Freilich, he was it was Mebadech Tuba, so there was a problem. So they asked him, listen, what are you doing? Let me it was in Ein Oimden. I'll read it to you. Yeah. Ein minute. For the Shachar. Here it is. Dr. Gemara. Abaya have Yosef Kama de Rabba. Rabba. Chazia, they have a Kabadach Tuva. Pshi. Paslish Omer Lei, the student tells to his teacher, it's no joke. Vigila Berodaksiv. First of all, pretty gutsy student, I must say the honest truth. But that's the case. The Drishas Emes is so strong that he has to ask. I'm not criticizing you. I want to understand how this works with the Gilberad. Amarle, I'm not tefillin manachna. Like tefillin, geendigt. Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Yosef, Kamad Reb Zeira. That's already a friend of Rava. Next generation. Chazi de v'kabadich tuva, weiter. Rabba, Reb Zeira, out badich tuva. They're smiling, mices, Amarle, b'chol etziv yeh moiser. Amarle, I'm not tefillin manachna. Was willst du? Zot Rashi. Plus, I'm not tefillin manachna. You also put on tefillin, right? So what? Therefore, what happened to you exactly? Garnished. And the answer is very pashut. Either it's not tefillin, or it's not a head, or it's not a person. Whatever it is, you call it what you want. It's supposed to be tefillin Rosh Hashanah, so you can decide. There are three possibilities. Okay? Zot Rashi, tefillin manachna behem edus shemem sheles koini umisrosoi alai. Hanachas tefillin is edus. I've said testimony. Edus means it's Wutzig edus to the Welt. There's a psalach about Amida when you put on tefillin. No, only another in the Hanach. Don't have to sit around tefillin. Svardim do it be yeshiva. Okay. By Yechula you stand. It's chaychet edus. This is edus shemim sholis koini umisrasei alai. I live with the misra, with the burden of the government of God. Says Kavod Rosh. Once you put on tefillin, this is supposed to create edus, means an internalized idea. I mean, the cartridge went into the CD went into what's it called? The MP something got, what are you going to say today? I'm still living in the VOD. The cartridge went into this. Yes, a kichtarein. That's what the Ramban says. Ramban says, why is it filling over here? Because this is the place when you're a child, it's open. And that's the tchilas habachshir. That's where the tzuras rishonos start in your mind. And then they go further. So you put the filling exactly, mokum yitziris, the tzuras rishonos. Look it up. Chumash, Ramban, boy. Okay? Okay, but Beinei Necha, it says that's the pshat over there, because this is the Ad Mokashit to Shemayach Shat Film, right? It says you all know that. Oh, you learned to film for Bar Mitzvah. Ramban says, because this is the place in the mind. I don't know if it works with today's knowledge of science, but at least the way the Ramban understood it, this is the makom where the tchilas atzuris are rishonos in the moich works. So your tchilas atzuris, you put in the cartridge of the tefillin, it sticks out, you push it in. That's the pshat. So that's edus. Otosta hanochamo. Edus doesn't mean haggadah. Edus means the internalization of information. Then you can mevadach to. So Rambam paskin this la'alacha. Not that you're allowed to laugh. Rambam paskins that's the getter of tefillin. I think I once taught that to you. The Rambam says before, where's the Rambam Hilchos Tefillin? Rambam says in Hilchos Tefillin, oh my God, the book of. All you need is of God. Nothing else. State in the Rambam and Hilchos Tefillin. What do you think the Kesef Mishnah doesn't know where it comes from? The clouds in the Kesef Mishnah, when the Kesef Mishnah doesn't bring a makar, he just quotes the Rambam, doesn't say anything. It means I don't know where it's from. Do you know that cloud when sometimes you see Kesef Mishnah, which just quotes the Rambam and doesn't add a word? You ever see these things? You ever notice these things? Did you ever learn Rambam? Become Chabadskis. They just finished the siyum of Rambam Yomi. You should start again. You're supposed to know Rambam. So steht da so in Perik Dalet, Loche Dalet, Kedusha Tefillin, Kedusha G'dayli, he should cause man should tefillin al Rosh Shel Adam V'al Zroyai, Hu Ona V'Yorei, Ve'ena Nimshech V'Schai, Kubesicha B'Teila, Ve'ena Mahar Machshavas Ros. See what happens when you put on tefillin? Okay? Ela Mafana Libai, L'Divrei HaEmes, V'Atzedek. Now, when's the last time that happened to you? When you put on tefillin? So what? Either the Rambam's wrong, or your tefillin aren't kosher, or it's not on your head, because there is no head. Or you don't know how to put on tefillin. That's a chayz. There's a tzur of anachas tefillin, which just will work. And something's wrong in our anachas tefillin. The Rambam takes this for granted. The Rambam writes on that, that's the ficha tzorach adam lishtadol liyasol kol hayoyim. Why? Shemitzvasam bekach. The mitzvah of tefillin is to create this reality. Where's his makar? The makar is v'shteit befurish. It says it's free. The what's tefillin for? The mantia teres Hashem beficha. What's meant teres Hashem beficha? So the Rambam is typically Rambam doesn't say teres Hashem beficha. Just means ben babkama. It means everything he just wrote here. Which now, where's the makar of this whole thing? Where does he know that this is true? There's only one place in Shas. I can swear to that. Okay, and that this Gemara in Ein Oimdim that I just showed you. Okay, so between the Mantiat Shem Shafich, which is the Mechilta, Mechilta, and the Gemara and Brachas that I just showed you, that's why it's Kovid Rosh. Rambam understands Kovid Rosh. That's the din. He just described Kovid Rosh to you. Okay, and he says in the Gemara, you put on tefillin, you won't have problems with Kovid Rosh. The Chiddush, the Gemara seems to be saying that it works if you take a good dose. It works even after you take it off. Because it doesn't say they are not tefillin. Menachne is past tense. Techav muchach v'kandid amaroim didn't wear tefillin all day. If you know Aramaic, it's past menachno. Doesn't say I am maniach tefillin. I was maniach tefillin. Look up Jastro. Okay, but that's a b'yisib b'kutcha. I love all these little kids walking around. They have to show the world they're religious and putting on tefillin all day. It says ayoyer of the worst type. Okay. You know, it means first that you clean up your other. There's so many things to clean up. When you come to a situation where your slach lanu is a bracha and a tzricha, you have to be checking your averos. Where's it from? When you're the dig pishpesh v'lei matzah, you know the type when it says, a person as you serve. Pish fashvish remaisiv. Pishpesh v'lei matzah yitlib a bittul Torah. I never had to do that. I never met a person. Efshar Boisha, something of that stature. Pishpesh v'lei matzah. More the kul alma, avik lashon hara, avik gezel. What are we talking about? Pish v'lei matzah is episode abeinu nifantanya. He never does naveri machshav dibur ma'isa. He's pish v'lei matzah. I don't know anybody so far, kimat, except for yichidim, that slach lanu was a bracha shenet tzricha, or you're davening for the klal. I don't think that's what we're holding yet. So man, do me a favor, first clean your muddy boots before you do this all day. Okay? Let's say davar pasha. So this is a mitzvah to bekach. I'm trying to say something. It's an edus. What's the edus? The edus is internalizing here. That's the edus. This edus creates the kavod rosh. Otas the nochama lashon of Rashi, that the getter of edus is internalizing an idea which has a religious significance. That's what it means. Now, yes, this is the religious significance. Misrasei alai. Memshalas konya alai is a religious significance. Sometimes it's religious legal significance. Sometimes it's religious significance of its own. Atem edai nuvani kel is religious significance. Not you have to walk around. You're not a Quaker. You don't have to go around being a JEH is a witness. Okay? No? It's another part. This is edus. So I just want to listen. Clear other rayas, but this is a nice one. Okay, kavod rosh is called edus memshalas koini alai, edus memshalas koini umisrosai alai. That's lashon Rashi. Remember that one. It's a very important thing. Okay, that's why I tell everybody, please say the Yerotzen before Anochas Tefillin. I'm not joking when I say this, and do it slowly. Learn it first. It's a chidah, but learn where comes from, learn what it means, and start that. That's a tremendous thing to do. Kach kibalti me'ovi, and I do to all my children and my grandchildren. See, here, you have it. Okay, it's a little late, should touch it by the bar mitzvah, but what can I do? But this is a very important thing. It's a very important thing. Also, can I say something else? I'm afraid to let you guys go. You don't have to say Psukkah de Zimra. It's Halu b'chol yoyim. The Gemara says, "Yi chelkim goyim halu b'chol yoyim." The Zman HaMeroim, who said Psukkah de Zimra? That was only people who were mishabech halu b'chol yoyim. Yi chelki. It's a Gemara in Psachim. God help me. Arva Psachim, the one I'm not teaching in his mind. Okay, Yi chelki and goyim halu b'chol yoyim. It's about Madrege. Why? Not everybody did it. They have time to go to work. Yoshi says this. What's that psuk in the Zimra? The halal that you're not to say b'chol yom is the halal of Mitzrayim. Why? So the Maral explains, because that's a halal describing the supernatural reality that God intervenes with the supernatural. Please do not. Our relationship with God is not through supernatural. He's not a vision Rebbe. With a vision Rebbe, you have to deal with moifsim. God doesn't want to be a Rebbe. He wants to be a Reshiva. Without moifsim. Okay. He doesn't like moifsim. Don't tell me I do moifsim. Okay, you want to learn my Torah, Sefer, my Chassidus, I can understand. But again, that's what God doesn't want. It says before, you're mechayar from a goddess. The person who says Halal b'chol yom, which is relation with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, because oh man, he's so cool, and all the wonders and miracles. You're mechayar from a goddess, because you think you're looking at God only through the supernatural. You're forgetting that all of reality is Him. What you call natural is also supernatural. It's also Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you only focus on the supernatural, that's a chiruf and a giduf. That's the issue of saying Halal HaGadol, the regular Halal, not Halal HaGadol, that's wrong. That's Hilal and Chastoi. Halal of Mitzrayim, Chol Yom. Masha'en came, Psukkah de Zimra, it's a Shir Halal for the Bria. Read it, except for the fact that, there's a lot of parts that saying that everybody recognizes the name of God. That's big pieces like Yichvoid or Haidu. very hard things to daven. You have to every time to think about the name of God. And you have some twice in a pasuk. It takes time. It's a very schwer tefillas. Okay, Bakshem by the Hallelujahs, they say, wow, look at this. Everybody loves you. And you do so many beautiful things. Unbelievable. You know, it's really beautiful. Oh, Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. You know what I mean? Even all the beautiful nature of reality. That's what you're talking about. Look at the ocean. Moby Dick. You know what I mean? You know, all these different things that you have in your mind. All the National Geographics, all that comes into Psukkah de Zimra. That's what you're talking about. I guess the more you read National Geographic, the more you say Psukkah de Zimra with the slivus. Because Taninim v'chol ta'imus. What do you know about Taninim? Unless you read Moby Dick. You know what I mean? Or Pinocchio, it doesn't work with Pinocchio. That didn't happen, you understand? But what's the godless from Taninim? What's meant called ta'imus? What do you know about the oceanography? Nothing. You went to MTA. What can you know? You can read a thing in your life. Okay, you're a bunch of ratzim. But the more you know, you say Psukkah de Zimra differently. I'm not playing games. I'm serious. Okay, this is like my last hurrah. So I have to kick everything I can in. Yeah. The more if your fathers would have given you telescopes and microscopes and taken you out to see geological levels and dinosaurs and stars and collect leaves and rocks and all that, ain't got too much of that in Memphis. Upstate New York, it's a Gan Eden if you want to know what's up there. Okay, there's a lot of stuff there. So if you'd appreciate Psukkah de Zimra. You should say Psukkah de Zimra is a tremendous tefillah. So if you're saying it already, I started davening here shachas. I can't. It's very hard here. You have to come a half an hour earlier to be able to say Psukkah de Zimra. They do it in 10 minutes. I guess they read with their eyes and not with their mouths, or they don't chop what they're saying. It's like really cool, and you're supposed to be saying Hallel. Hallel means you're supposed to be praise the Lord. You know, you come to God and say Hallelujah. You know, hello, yeah. What were you saying? I can imagine God saying, "What'd you say?" You know, I don't understand how it's done. I'm not joking when I say this. It's much better. Do yourselves a favor when you're going to go to shul. In Tinnik, it's worse. I don't know about the Yisod. Maybe it's different, you know what I mean? But in Tinnik, it's worse, I can tell you. You have to go half an hour before and say Psukkah de Zimra, and then come to shul for Yishtabach. And understand that you don't plant the state Shemona Esrei when they start Shemona Esrei. It ain't going to happen. Because if you breathe, if you have asthma, it's impossible. You know what I mean? Take a ventilation, take some what's it called, Ventolin before, you know what I mean? And go to a place, an old age home, maybe they have them slower. And good. So you'll be Shemona Esrei together with the Chazan, Zoichet good. Now I understand now why the Lubavitcher Rebbe daven with a minion, except for Shabbos. And the Brisker Rav also. I understand that. I understand why the Biyana Rebbe and all the original Rebbes never davened with the Chassidim in the shul. They had a room next door, with the door was open. They could see, and they couldn't see them, but they could see them. So there's a certain, he was mispal b'shash at tefillah tzibur mispal them. He can't. Lo yachol, pashut lo yachol. Rav Cherba davened with me. He was mispal them, but I got to see he started 4 a.m. until he got to wherever they got. I don't know, whatever it is. It's so Psukkah de Zimra is a very important tefillah. I'm not joking when I say that you don't know what you're missing. It took me a long time to work on this. I'm going to share this with you. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to do it. Yeah. That's Psukkah de Zimra like a mensch. I don't want to tell you about Birchas Kriya Shema, but if when you learn one day more about Kriya Shema, Birchas Kriya Shema, Shver Malacha. Shemona Esrei is easy. It's nothing. It's your laundry list. God, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. Good, so that's easy. Yeah, I know I'm sick. I'm stupid. I'm definitely a sinner. I'd like to have a redemption. Not sure what it's going to be like, but I want it. You know what I mean? And etc. And Baruch Aleinu, yeah, I'm living in an arid country. We'd like to have some rain here. You know, I mean, these are very simple, straightforward things. Darf nicht quetschen zu viel. The only place where you have to think for serious is the first three brachas. But that's already, you're not talking about yourself. Once again, you're saying a big howl. And moedim. Moedim should be easy. If you live a world of a life of God awareness, moedim should be easy. The ritzei, once again, if you really want the base of Mikdash, it should also be easy. But if not, you know what I mean? It's you have to work on that, l'chayra. But moedim. Afterwards, Lord, give me peace. That's straight out of the 60s, so there's no problem with that. Keep my mouth shut. Let other people not talk bad about me. I feel guilty about saying that. Don't you feel guilty? If you had your mouth shut, so maybe other people keep their mouth shut about you. But your mouth is as big as the Holland Tunnel. So ich verstehe nicht. So why do you think other people should keep their mouth shut? Right? You have to kalai, nafshi tidoim, etc. Relax. First we start with that. Help me keep my mouth shut. Then they'll also keep their mouths shut. So but you say it 3 times a day. You do exercises. The guy gets sick of us. I'm surprised he gets sick of us. You know what I mean? I'd be sick of me. You know what I mean? He says it 3 times a day. What are you doing about it? Garnished. You know what I mean? I learned Chafetz Chaim. Yeah, that was a long time ago. What else is new? You know what I mean? I got tested in 8th grade. I got a prize for it. You know, so what else is new? You know? The Ebshers will help them. Our kids are Baba Mices. You know, you can't do this in Zoom. You understand, Mayor? You understand this can't be done in Zoom? There you have it. Kiva, we're giving you a taste of the last, this is the last hurrah of our Karen B'Avner semester. So I'm going to, you know, the way it works. I feel I'm about to lose a bunch of limbs, don't you understand? I'm trying. It's very simple. I got used to you little Indians, you know, and now I'm going to, what's the design? I'm going to cast you off, Sray, go to the crazy world of the, up there, up the west side over there of Amsterdam Avenue. The food is lousy in the calf, I can tell you. It's a kamas nefashis. Well, when's Zuckerman telling you about transition to YU? Tonight. Well, I hope he says it the way it is. If not, come over to me and I'll spell it out. There were years where a certain Rosh Yeshiva, I won't say who, in YU used to send me a list of Bible teachers. Tell your students not to go there. So I called him up. Says, prominent rabbi, do it yourself. Says, you can't. I understand you why you can't. Of course you can't. Okay? But that's the problem, don't you understand? That's exactly the problem. He can't. So I did. Okay. What I knew, I'm not going to talk about just because Yankel Berry gave me a list. What I knew after my research, I said, do me yourself a favor and go to X, not to Y. I don't do that anymore. I haven't been thinking about it for a long time. I don't know. You're only allowed to do this if the person won't believe you. He's only chayshish, and you're doing it only for the kavanah of the Noam Avera. And he shouldn't be makabel, only be chayshish, and therefore be mnim avei. It's not an easy thing to do. But that's a problem. You know, I'm already telling you already at Surah there that's a problem. You have to know who to go to and what lectures to listen to. It's nishkan davar pasha. Not everything there has the hechsher of the Rav. Don't think everything is like has the hechsher. There are people there that, thank God, they're not there anymore. Okay, good kind salvation got rid of a few people and stuff. Whatever, yeah, it's not pasha. Good. Gamati. Okay, so Adis is basically internalizing. That's what happened with the Gemara. The Adis was basically internalizing the idea. We thought, what's Dibur? The Dibur is once you're in Aid, and that's the information. So how do you process through Bezdin? The Agod is only a Chetimtza. Who said you need a Torah Aid there? You need a Lacha, you need the Eidus, and the Eidus is found already in the Riyah. That's the idea. We thought the Edus is found in the Riyah and the Kabbalah. It's nothing more than that. Once that raw material is dead, that takes the information. I don't need you. I need the information. You're the vehicle. That's okay, that would be enough. What's the Chiddush? No, I need Agoda also. I need also B'shas Agoda. Because what's the getter? The getter is not enough. It's not what you have in your mind is not the evidence. It needs processing through Kabbalah's Eidus. That's the getter of the halacha. Kabbalah's Eidus, we have to take you and your information and process it into evidence. As long as the information found is not of an aid, it's not called Kabbalah's Eidus anymore. We're not accepting information. We're accepting people. And taking and checking their information. The Drisha v'chakira. The Drisha v'chakira is not on the information, it's on the aid to verify whether the information is exact or not exact, real or not real. You're talking about the veracity of the people. What did you hear? What didn't you hear? Well, part of Kabbalah says the din of Eidos Shatayachal Azima. How do you know this Allah of Eidos Shatayachal Azima? It's Allah and Drisha v'chakira. What's Eidos Shatayachal Azima? The whole idea of Drisha v'chakira is in order to tell you where you have to, which makam, which zman, etc. Okay? Do you understand? That's the gufa halacha that we need Eidos Shatayachal Azima because it's krokid chsiv. We know the pasuk says v'dosh v'chaku heitev v'hinei emes adavar eit shekahid v'sislam lakasher zoma. V'dosh v'chaku. That's the pasuk of Drisha v'chakira. Anybody listen to Edrin here? Okay? It's Nebuch, not the first parak and not the second. What can you do? Okay, it's the echad in the mominus. What's coming up? But but that's you have to understand that. So that's the makers. Vashteda that no, that we need. The Torah says you need mamish and aid. There, it's not enough the aidus because we can't say it's aidus until we have to verify that the aid knows what he's talking about. So I'm talking about a person now. And therefore, I need you as a kosher aid to be able to work with the information to decide whether it's right or wrong and whether I can process it into evidence or not. That's the halacha of Agada. At this stage, the Gemara understood as we learned in the Ritzvah and Kedushin. Adrabah, that's the Gemara Eidus. This is the Eidus. And Adrabah, the Re is nothing more than the Hechsher for it. And that's why l'chayr, what happens by an aid puzzle, if an aid puzzle just is raya, that doesn't make it into an aid puzzle, which apostles the other people that are rayim, unless he's kavanah lo'ayt to come to court. Why? Masha from the Gemara, l'chayr, by an aid kosher, you don't have to have kavanah lo'ayt, l'chayr. Why? Because the riyah naturally is something which the system says you have to come. The system says what you have is the first stage of the material which will become testimony. The pshat in eid kosher is chomer aroi la'agoda. Okay, that's why it's called the beginning of the Eidus, which ends with the Agoda. That was Lashon of the Ritva. Ritva said it's not really Eidus until Agoda, if you remember the Lashon of the Ritva in Kedusha, if you saw it. Okay, so very good. Mashenkin Eid Pasul, in order to connect me with the process, my Agoda doesn't actually, my Riyah doesn't actually go anywhere. I'm Pasul. But if I plan to bring it to processing, okay, that intention makes me an Eid Pasul. Okay, why are you an aid? If the aid is by Riyah alone, you'd be right. But since aid is not by Riyah, the Iker Torah Aedis is the Agada, and the Aedis is only the preliminary to it, as the Ritva explained. So what makes an aid puzzle into an aid puzzle? Nothing more than the fact that he is also a preliminary to the Riyah, to the Agada, just like every Riyah of an aid kosher. How is that? Only with Kavanah Lo'ayt. The Fiza, as I pointed out, it goes this way, not backwards. It goes. That's how it goes. So maybe pointed that the L'chayr is a Yisrael Yonis. The L'chayr, if you need a kesher between A and B, that's the way you understood. They have to be tchilas, mitchilas, vad seifa. Why? Because we understood that if you're a apostle in the middle, so there's really no connection anymore between the Riyah and the Agad. Because what happened? Now you were not an aid. Let's remember, it's not enough to have the information. I need the aid which carries the information. Okay, if there's a certain point in time where you're not an aid and now you have the information, so what exactly connects you to the aid which was at the Riyah? It's as if there was an aid with a Riyah which did not end up in Haggadah, and then there's a person which has information, but not from the Riyah wasn't a Riyah's aidus because that Riyah didn't end up in Haggadah. It's a puzzle. And now all of a sudden I have that information because of that previous Riyah, and now I'm about to say it. So here there was a tzad to understand. We understand l'chayr that wouldn't work. That was the swear behind it because of the whole idea of the Torah is because it leads to Agada. Well, we understand that if there's a rupture between them, so what do I have in the middle? I have a Riyah which became puzzle equals this Riyah does not naturally go into Agada, and there was no kavanah l'hoyed there, so there's no reason to connect it to the Agada. And then afterwards, also you became kosher. So what happened? Now you're a person which you can come to Agada, and you have information, but your information doesn't come from a Edus of a Ria of Edus, because that Ria of Edus wasn't Edus anymore. It was only Edus if it would continue until Agada. But if it had a rupture in the middle, that Ria wasn't a Ria Edus. So what's left? A Yedias Edim. Yedias Edim without Ria is not enough. That's the Chur, the Pshat, where the Gemara understood that the Chur, that's after Tchilasai, Vesai, Mitchilasi, Ve'atzai, Bekashers. This is the, we need a Svara, because the Gemara is talking about Svaras, no Psukim. The Psukim only come to say it's not that way. So you have to have some kind of a Svara which took for granted. This is the Pashas. So here I'm giving you a possibility of a Svara, of since there's a rupture, there's never no connection between the Ria. The Ria didn't end up in Agada. And what you have in Agada is not based on that Ria, because that wasn't a Ria Sedus, because it didn't end up in Agada. What happens is a Yediyah, that Ria gave me a Yediyah, and the Yediyah goes into the Agada, but that's not enough. That's a Yediyah, but the Yediyah didn't come from a Ria Sedus. The din of Ra, or Yada works only by Haidoas Mammon, because Haidoas Mammon is a Shmiya, is the equivalent of Ria. But no one said that information found in your head is enough. It has to come through a medium of senses, either Ria or Shmiya, whatever it's going to be. And therefore, since this Ria was not a Ria Sedus, because it's not a Ria which ended up in Agada, that's what we thought. So you have a pasuk. There was a pasuk say that no. What does the pasuk mean? The pasuk means quite a few things. What's the pasuk? The pasuk says no. I don't need you to be a gavra, an eid kosher b'shas. There's no such thing as a rupture. As long as you're a Taurus Eid B'Shas Ria and you're a Taurus Eid B'Shas Agada, the fact the information in the middle doesn't have to be residing in an Eid. If this Ria ended up in Agada, it's called, it was a Ria Sedus. And I don't need that Ria, I don't see that Ria stopped because it didn't directly go to Eidus, because now it's only information in the middle of the idea. This Svara, definitely the Pasuk is Megal, it's not true. That's the Pasha's thing. Now, this is something we have to think about. So it boils out to be what? What's the pasuk saying? The pasuk is saying you would have thought that you need Riyah Mitchil Kosher Mitchil Vatzov Kamashma or no, but Riyah Vagada Tolamilsa.
Wouldn't you have only thought that because you knew that you?
How would you know it? Because you decided Haggadah is puzzle. Look at the logic. You have to work with the logic. The logic is originally you thought only Riyah is puzzle. The Kamash and Haggadah is puzzle. At this stage, now you have both Riyah and Haggadah. Why did you think that that's the case? It has to be kosher mitchil v'atzoi. So obviously, you must come to a conclusion. Once you say that God is puzzle, and we know that God is the ikr. That's what we learned from the Ritva. Now we know that God is the ikr, and everything goes towards there. So now there's the smartest thing. There has to be a retzif. There has to be a retzef because you're going towards there. If the pshat there were two nekudas, mechitesis in the middle. But if you understand there's an ikr and a tafel, a sieve, a ikr, a shirish, and a teitzah. So everything is for the teitzah. So the Gemara thought you need a flow from the shirish to the teitzah.
Isn't that all built on the fact that you know pasuk and pasuk?
No, I don't know any pasuk. I only know the pasuk said there's an Vagada. Adrabi, now you need another part. Now you have to explain. The Gemara thought, the Gemara says we would have thought if Adasa Chosna Behemtza would be puzzled, and the Kamash were not that way because of what? Because of a Riyah Haggadah Talbis. In other words, two ways of understanding the Chiddush of Haggadah. Is Haggadah telling me the Svar Chitzayna was that once you say the Chiddush of Haggadah, there should be a retzef between Riyah and Haggadah, and we say not that way because the pasuk says Oy Ra Yishom B'Haggadah B'Riyah Haggadah Talia Milsa. So what exactly is your inner shakla v'tarya here?
Is it not possible to say that you're deciding either way, not that it's sort of shoot off and you
I don't. Usually, that be the case. You would have to have sveit. You'd have to mention there's some kind of a suffix. And since I have no zecher to say it, I don't know. Pashtus is not that way. Let's understand. If questions when you have fusis and brises, you need a mead for it. Now, if it's a question of shikul adas, and you're saying it's a suffix a shakul, so it's machmir. It's a possibility. If I had a machlekes rishonim, I would say it. But if I don't have a machlekes rishonim, it's not mistaver. I'm saying something here. It's not mistaver because the simple reading of things are, since the Gemara or the Brisa doesn't mention Sveikos, and the Rashbam doesn't mention Sveikos, and none of the Rishonim mention Sveikos, that there were no Sveikos here in this thought. You have to think simply. There's no, you don't concoct. Is it a possibility? Yes. If I would have a machlokes or shining, which would be understood that way, I would say there are two ways of understanding what this is, and that would work. But as long as I don't have it, I have no reason for it. Some of the Milsa says no. I have no indication of doubt. It's as simple as that. I mean, that's you get used to learning Midrash Tanoim. That's not how it works. No reason to think of doubt. Okay, unless you see in Rishonim doubt, yeah. Believe me, you see a lot of that. Okay, but at the end of the day, this is the Pasha of the Gemara. So this goes to one big nakuda, and that is this idea. Seems to be saying that the Iker Edis is the Agada, and the Sherish of the Edis is the Riyah. Now the shaila on the table is there take halacha we took for granted there's a din of kavanah lahayid by Eidim Psulim, and the Svar Pshut is there's no din of kavanah lahayid by Eidim Ksheir. Is that really true? Is that what is Shita Shreidim in this shaila? Just to understand, do you need kavanah lahayid b'chlal? So here it goes like this. The Gemara says in Krisis, Daf Yud Beis. It's a Taisvus there. It says in Krisis and Daf Yud Beis. This is the famous Gemara of that I learned to you once, where the person is believed to say, Adam come and say you're Chayv Korban, and he's believed to say he's not Chayv Korban, Korban Chatos. Right? Do you remember that? And there's the Gemara discussing that Hidos Baldin is more than Adam. We discussed this at the time Yud Beis Amid Aleph. So there's an interesting Gemara. The Gemara says as follows. It's an Amid Basics. This Gemara that I'm calling is an Amid Beis. And the Gemara says like this. Minute. Middle of the, if you have a Gemara in front of you, I think I sent you the copy. It's parallel to Taisid Ramasel Mitchilavad Saif. It's in the, well, I sent you a piece of the Amid. It's like halfway down. Amar Abaye, Meider of Meir Lechachamim. Everybody have it or have it in their phones. I think I sent it to you. Meider of Meir Lechachamim. Shim Amar L'Shnaim, Yodea Ata Be'edus Ploini. What's enough Kamina? He says, I don't know. And they tell him, you do know. What's the halacha? Well, it means Chayv V'Korban Shvus Ha'edus, Keren V'Chaimish, all the nice things. Yodea Ata Be'edus Ploini. V'Omer Le'adati. So it's Pater. He's Pater from Korban Shvus Ha'edus. The Edim can't be Mechayivim. That's a korban both to shogi and b'mezid. Okay, is that the korban shvus? The boy Omar lo niskavanti leedus. Now, what does it mean? Lo niskavanti leedus. So, what does it mean exactly? So, look at Rashi. So, it's Rashi. Let me look here carefully. It's Rashi. Here it is. Murder of Meir. A minute. Yodeata be'edus, v'hu ish bi'oi v'loi hoida, v'chayev ato korban shvus ha'edus. Migu demotzi lemifta nafshei be'eter v'lemer, mai lo yodati kamina lo niskavanti liyosh eid. Now we're talking about need kosher. And what's the stomach of the Lashon of Rashi? Lo niskavanti liyosh eid. I didn't plan to be a witness. And I saw things, but I didn't plan to witness it. This seems to indicate that b'shas riyah you have to have kavanah lahayid, not just the 8th puzzle, as the stomach of the Gemara in Makkos, but even by an 8th kosher we seem to see that. Now, if you look carefully in the Shita Mekubatzes, this is new type. These Gemaras, I need the old type. Where's the Taisei Rush here? 1 minute. Here it is. Let's find it. I wish I had the old ones. Lo niskavanti le'edus. V'aloshen tamua. Derive edius loy boy kavana. Shitun Betzis is the name of Teisa Rosh. The Loshen Tamua, the Rav Edius loy boy kavana, the Ein Tzorech Leimer Atem Eidai. Ella be'edei hayda. We only, when does the person have to be miyached edim? Now it's interesting. We understand if it says you have to say atem eidai, we take for granted that means that you're mechaven lahoyed. But if you don't have to say atem eidai, who says you have to be mechaven lahoyed? It's the shvacherai, right? Maybe you always have to be mechaven lahoyed, but here there's a special halacha of saying atem eidai because I want to know that I'm saying it in front of witnesses. It shouldn't be mishatani b'cha. Look at the lashon of the Rosh. A lashon tamor the Rav Edis loy boy kavana. Why? What's his raya? The ain't tzorich lemer atem eidai ela beidai da. If you're about to admit something, it didn't have da, and if without edim, it's going to you have a time of mishatani b'cha, so you have to miyachid the edim. So there's a law you have miyachid edim. Ava b'cha shar edius. All you know is what? You know there's no din of atem eidai. That doesn't mean they have to be mechaven, but he continues further. He says, "Shar edus im roa davar apolei kavanas edus yichayim lahayid." He doesn't prove it. And as he's bringing something which is a shvacharaya, I must say that no naim, it's the rush. Okay, what's he saying? He's going to bring his big case. How does he prove that every edus doesn't need kavan lahayid? The only thing he brings up, because the only place where you need yichud edim is only by Eidah. Very nice. There's two different halachas. One is the din of yichud edim, not because they have to be mechaven lahayid. The yichud edim that shouldn't be mishatani b'cha. He takes for granted that yichud ve'edim is for kavana lahayid. It's only once they're mechaven lahayid, this takes away his mishatani b'cha. There's no right. It's not muchach at all, to say the least. I don't know what to say about this. But tzorich iyun, that's the Rosh. Gillian Mahari, which I don't know who this is, but Shittim Kubetz brings it. I'm taking for granted it's a Rishon. Gillian Mehari, maybe it's the Re, I don't know. V'tzarech leimar, the Ritzoleimar loy oyu zchurim min ha'edus b'shah sheish biyot. Loy diskivanti lahoyed means to what? What does that mean to say? I didn't think of it much when I saw it, therefore I didn't remember. So when I swore, I forgot about this. This wasn't something I had in mind. Lamaisa, there's a shita like that, and that's Rabbeinu Gershon. We'll find where is Rabbeinu Gershon. Here. No. Okay, we should get there. Maybe I should get old-fashioned Gemara. You know? She took about his creases. She took about his creases. Weiter bin Gershon. She took about his creases. Kute Rashi. This I never had before. Where's good old bin Gershon? I don't know where. Oh, Baruch Hashem. Rabbeinu Gershon. Such Rabbeinu Gershon over here in Yud Beis. Then is Kavanti Lahayid. Let's find from it. Yud Beis Namid Beis before the Mishnah. Here it is. No, it's here. 1 minute. Rabbeinu Gershon. Wait for a moment. Oh boy. Shana. Here it is. Loinis Kavanti Leedus Lo Samti Daiti Lias Zoicher. Like I didn't plan to say testimony, so I didn't care. I don't remember it exactly. So you can't really know. Did he remember? He didn't remember. It's up to him. There are edus and edus because it's something that he said. This I really don't remember it. And logically, it's not something I always have to remember. I just thought, by the way, that's something else. That's a svara which should also move involved the Re. The Rush didn't understand that way. Who represents another day? The other day is in Tosis Yishonim on the spot. They bring B'Shem Rabbi. Now Tosis Yishonim on Krisis is is a Taisus Ashkenazis. It's not Corbet, it's not Rabbeinu Peretz's Talmud, and this is Ram Rutenberg, that base medrash, the base medrash of Germany. So Taisus Yeshanim writes over there in Divrei Mascho, here it is. Zot Kavanti Lahoid, Mikan Omar Rebbe, V'chein Don Halacha Lamaisa. The Eidim Shishama Adover Pi Bal Hamaisa. Now he's talking about a Hidah. Achlon Niskavnu Lahid, V'lo Huvu Sham L'Shem Edus, Ein Be'edus and Klum, in Boim Achazman Lahid B'fnei Bezdin. Now, although he does bring the dogma, it's interesting, the dogma which he brings is the dogma by Hidah. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about Shamu, Ba'adavim, Pi, and Bal HaMaisa. We're talking about the Hidah Spaldin. Shamu, Pi, Bal HaMaisa. Now, he doesn't discuss the fact there was no Yuchad Eidim. That's why he's mentioning it all. He's simply saying if they weren't Miskavan Lahayid, then they want bought there for Eidos. They're not Miskavan Lahayid, therefore, man, this is the right that you don't need. So it's interesting. It's very clear that the Rush is I understand now what the Rush is doing. The Rush is reacting to this. Okay, they basically said that from here we come to a conclusion that by Haidah you need Kavan Lahayid. Does it mean Dafka Haidah? No, it doesn't mean Dafka Haidah. So why does he bring up the story of Haidah? The Tzorchin, the Taisus Yeshanim have to try to explain it. Why would he bring Haidah? The Gemara is not talking about Haidah. He's not making a Kimta. The Gemara is talking about all this moment. This is by all this moment. All Mechi Taisi to say that Blaze come to it means that it was Haidah. That doesn't add up too well, to say the least. It doesn't mention it. What does it mean to say it's not a kosher edus? So he seems to be saying it's a very tzarchin the Taisus. He brings a tzir of Haidah, but the l'chayr means anything. So why do you think Dafka Haidah and not anything else? Lo barurli. I don't know. But it's very clear that if he's coming from this Gemara, and this Gemara is not talking about Eroy, that's what he says, Mikan Omar Rebbe. Mikan from our Gemara. Mean to say that obviously there was a Shaila Halacha L'maisa somewhere, and he proved this point from here. That's what you have to come and say. There was a Shaila Halacha L'maisa somewhere, otherwise it doesn't make sense what happened here. Okay, what's this Baalei HaTaisus here? There was a Halacha L'maisa question of Eidah, and basically the question was not whether Mashat and Bechor, not the question is there Eidus. Why isn't there a problem? Shatani B'choi doesn't mention. What's not enough in the Gemara? Okay, so he doesn't deal with that. His problem is this is not Eidus to begin with. Not because there was no Yichud Eidim, because there was no Kavanah Law. This is what he's saying. It is on that the Rosh says no. That's something else. There's a problem with Shatani B'choi. Not showing a Kavanah say it's the problem with Shatani B'choi, but he says the problem there is because it's not Eidus to begin with. And that's what's happening here. It's very clear. Otherwise, these texts don't make sense. Why would he suddenly talk about the Eidah? And why would he suddenly bring only Eidah? Obviously, we're talking about, I'm missing some Chuvas Maram Rutenberg somewhere which says Maisa Shahoya or something like that. Okay, that's what you're looking for because it's clear in here. Whatever it is, it's very clear in this sheet, this Baalei HaTaisus, that Eidus doesn't need Kavanah Lahaid. Eidus doesn't need Kavanah Lahaid. Not just Eid Pasla, Eidus Mamish needs Kavanah Lahaid. That's the Cherem Mefurish. This Amachlaik is basically Rabbi Seina Rishonim. So Shitas Rashi increases, and Taisus Yeshanim stomach increases. Says there's no Teres Eidus with a Kavanah Lahaid. That's what it boils down to be. Rashi also said the same thing. Lonis Kavanti Liyos Eid. There's no way you can stick your Ben Gershon into the Lashon of Rashi. Lonis Kavanti Liyos Eid doesn't explain why you don't remember. That's what Rabbi Gershon had to ask. Below Samti Lev will score. Okay, Rashi is a parshan. Those words alone don't mean anything. So obviously we understand Rashi and Pashat of Rashi and Taisus Yeshanim that at this moment needs Kavanah Lahaid. Seems to be a Dever Pashat. Mashenkin, that's the Rosh and Rabbeinu Gershon is definitely not that way. That's what you currently see. Now let's understand something. If you need Kavanah Lahaid b'Shas Riyah, it's Mukhrach. Al Kochach, but the pshat is because you need Tyrus Edis b'Shas Riyah. It's a very simple thing. We see it from our Gemara. You definitely need the Chiddush. You need a Tyrus Edis b'Shas Riyah. Mamash Teres Edis B'Shas Riyah. Now, the other sheet that you don't need Kavanah L'Hayit doesn't mean you don't need a Teres Edis B'Shas Riyah. You don't need Kavanah Edis for it to be a Teres Ed. That's the only machlokes. But to say that you don't need Teres Edis B'Shas Riyah is against the stump of the Brisa. And that's a davar pashut. I say this because I'm trying to circumvent a lot of things which are being said in this Brisa, talking about that you don't really need a Teres Ed, it's just the psul, etc. In Riyah. If you're a Baldin, I'll call it in a minute. I'm saying the things to shoot them. Some of the Brisa we learned you need a Teres Eid B'Shas Riyah and you need a Teres Eid B'Shas Agada. Period. And this is we see also from the the din of Kavanah L'Hayit. Kavanah L'Hayit, that's a machlokes Rishonim. Do I need Kavanah by an Eid kosher to make me an Eid? Why would I need it? Based on the Ritva, because the Ikar the Agada. Ikar the Eidish is the Agada. Do you have a Kavanah to bring that information to the Agada or not? Now that ritva is the key to this whole Havanas Sugyas. That's what's happening. Everything has to go towards an agad. That's what you say over here. What are you gonna do by Edi Kiyum Lamashal? In a Chanami. So by Edi Kiyum where there's no agad, where there's no agad, there's nothing there. You don't need to do anything to bring it anywhere else. Would you need Kavanah L'Hayit? Here's an interesting question. Because if the Kavanah L'Hayit is to bring the Riyah into to be mitzvah the Riyah to the Agada, that's where there's Agada. So I have to say this Riyah is going to Agada. But if this is not for an Agada, the Riyah is for itself. It's not going anywhere. You don't have to be mitzvah for anything to anywhere. So why would you need Kavanah? So the Pashas of the Einochanami, that the Riyah itself, even without Kavanah, that would be a halacha. That's because you'd be an Ed Gomer, even according to these shittas. Even according to Rashi and according to Tais Yishanim, B'Shem Rabbi, you need Kavanah L'Hayit. The seichel is that's only to mitzvah the Riyah to Agada, as we pointed out. Okay, and that's what the other Rishonim argue. Say, but in Eid Kosher, I don't have to. There's a natural flow. That's all where you need a flow, and you need a connection between a point A and a point B. But in the Chayrin, when you're talking about Eid Kiyum, there's no such halacha. There is no Agada. That's exactly what the Ritva said in Mem Gimel and Kedushin. There is no such halacha. So you're an aid without Kavanah L'Hayit. You're an aid even without Kavanah L'Hayit. That's exactly what the Ritva says. That's why by getting the Kedusha, you need to have what? You have to have Yichud HaEdim. So you are the aid, not the others. Because even if your craving are not Mechavan L'Hayit, they're called Eidim. What do you do with these sheets of the Shem that you need Kavanah L'Hayit? Nothing to do with it. And so that's exactly what the Ritva is saying. What does the Ritva say? The Ritva basically says that by Eid Kiyum, we don't need Kavanah L'Hayit. You're an Eid Puzzle. An Eid Puzzle is nothing except for to be mitzvah. That's only we have to be mitzvah to the Agada, to the Bezdin. But here, that's your Eidus. By an Eid Kosher, the same thing is going to apply. According to these sheets of the Rishon, an Eid Kosher needs. And this is what I'm adding on the Rishon, the Ritva. Even according to these sheets of the Rishon, that you need a Kavanah L'Hayit to be an Eid B'Shas Riyah, that won't be needed that will not be needed by ADQ. That's a very important thing. So you don't have to ask. You don't have to tell the aid to be mechavan l'hoyt. Okay, that's I'm trying to say. If you look for shtick to be able to, to tell the aid to be mechavan l'hoyt. Nine, by ADQ dushin daf minish. Okay, zay kommt aus bekach ani noig. Okay. Ve'eni choishish the Rashi that says Yishon. That's it. Now the Lemaisa. It goes like this. The biggest tzorachin that I know about this whole thing is Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, which also talks about the same thing. Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, Daf Chav Daled Amud Aleph. Tan Rabbana. We saw the moon. We saw the Mailit. We didn't see it afterwards. Well, that's impossible. You can't have a birth and all of a sudden she's not there. Your eyes, there's no cloud, no anything. All of a sudden there's no moon. Okay? They can't say this. It's impossible. Call Hachi Chazalai Vazla Rashi. I'm just fine for a moment. said Marakasha. So they didn't see it the next day. What's the difference? They saw it today. So the Gemara, first we saw it nonchalantly. I was walking on the beach. I saw the moon. Afterwards, I want to be mechavan lahoyed. So I went to see it again. So he said, "V'shuv v'shavna reish midatenu v'lo reinu ein meidin olav." My timer, They probably didn't see the moon. They saw a reflection of something in a cloud. Because it's not, that doesn't happen. Now, what was the idea of renewal? We seen it once, and then we went to see it again. What's this for? Midatenu, Zot Rashi, Kedei, Lahoyid, Olav. Once again, now what are we going to do there? Rain, Zot Rashi, Kedei, Lahoyid, Olav. In other words, beforehand, what we saw. That wasn't enough. Kedei, Lahoyid, Olav. Was Ma'aleinu. No, Adra, what's the Gemara say? So let's read carefully. Let's understand what happened here. No, the shayla is like this. Your question is a good question. Okay, let's what's happening here. They saw something and then they didn't see it later. So what does the Gemara say? That's what we went to see. We went to see it again. What did the Gemara say? It doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? You didn't see it now, but you saw it before. We still figure if you didn't see it now, what you saw before was nothing. So you're asking a good question. That even if you didn't earn the Adis is a good Adis. So what does Rashi say when it says Kedei Lehoidolov? It means to say, if that's the case, to make sure it's not Kubisa De'ava. Once we say that, so I'm not sure what the Pshat and Rashi increases is. That's what I'm trying to point out. The lashon of Rashi on one hand sounds like Kedei Lahoyed Olav. The one would think you need kavanah lahoyed. I don't understand. So those are asked the right question. Okay, what do you mean? The Gemara says, why can't you? Why are going to be poskin with the fact that you saw it l'chadchila? You saw it nonchalantly. You went to see it again Kedei Lahoyed Olav, and now you didn't see it. So we take for granted that what you saw originally was a reflection of a cloud. That's what I think Rashi said that. Right? Kabis da'ava igul shel av lovan. Av is a cloud, right? Avim. Okay. So what does it mean? It means to say you could have said, if you would have seen it again, you could have said Adis on the end. Why do we have to say the first thing you saw was a reflection? Let's say it wasn't a reflection. Let's say it was the moon. But you didn't have Kavanah Lahoyed. So that wouldn't have worked anyway. What we were trying to say, no, we're adding something. Since you didn't see it later, obviously what you saw before was meaningless. The only reason you have to say that is because if it wouldn't be meaningless, you could testify what you saw before. If that you didn't see it later proves that what you saw before was something else. Okay, very nice. Ask yourself the question, even if it wouldn't be true, you did come on lahayit. What's Muchach and Rashi? When Rashi says the language de lahayit olav doesn't mean to say in order to be kosher to be made, it means in order to make sure what I saw. That's the lashon of Rashi. To make sure. Now go back to the lashon of Rashi. Increases. When Rashi said over there increases, said lonis kavanti lahayit. So Rashi, yeah. Lo niskavanti lias aid. Hypothetically, it could mean I didn't think of being an aid, therefore I lack clarity. He doesn't say it before Shir either in Rosh Hashanah. He uses the same idea. Since I see the way he writes in Rosh Hashanah, I can no more make a diuk of his lashon in Krisis, and ultimately, therefore, I cannot definitely say that Shitas Rashi is like the Tosi Yeshonim. That's a very important nekuda to remember. Okay, so what I have is now I have a clear rush. I have a clear abnegation, as opposed to a Tosi Yeshonim, which is clear. Rashi, I can be quite ambivalent. I'm not sure I would read. I have to prove it from somewhere. I wouldn't know clearly what Rashitas Rashi is. That's a very important nekuda as far as that's concerned. The Ma'aseh it's mefurish also in Rambam's mefurish that you don't need kavanah lahayid. The Rambam passes the halacha in Perkei Eidos halacha. You don't need kavanah lahayid, etc. And the Grotaka writes that first in Shulchan Aruch in Lamed Vav, they bring this Rambam, and the Gra writes over there, L'chayr increases this mashma not that way, and he brings it to Yishon. He asked this as a kasha. He didn't have a shit on Kubetzes with the Rush, and obviously he didn't own a Rabbeinu Gershon. This probably came later. He says Pasha. He understands the Pashas. The Gemara increases like the Tais Yishonim, and he asked it as a kasha on the Rambam. But then we have Baruch Shem other Rishonim, so that doesn't bother me too much at all. As far as the Kavanah L'Hayid, therefore, according to this, I can now say, because if I look at the Lashon of the Gemara in Makkos, there the Lashon is, and Rashi there, when Rashi says that, beforehand, also the Lashon of Rashi is Manshi Hisru. The starter be'edus mitchila lias min amasm be'evra aveira. Avim lei hisu be'em lei kivna lias edim bedover lei butla edus achem b'shur v'yasin shahela, etc. The implication seems to be that not that I need a kavanah l'hayid b'chlal, but specifically by an 8 apostle I need a kavanah l'hayid. Why? Because if I don't think you need kavanah l'hayid, as Rashi continue, ma yasu shnei achim sheroim shlishim nashuk shorgus and nefesh, and that's impossible. This is Rashi the Ramas Bisman Shehisrun Davava Medalf and Makos. So he says the hechrech that there's a din of kavanah l'hayid b'psulim is what the Gemara says, because if not, it's impossible. There's always going to be a korov there. A korach nimtzech and korov apostle can only be by kavanah l'hayid. But he says the hechrech is only as far as that halach. We have no reason to extend it further. So that's what I'm trying to say. So if I added up here also, the only if the hypothetically the din of kavanah l'hayid b'chlal by Edis, then for goodness sakes, then Rashi would have spoke much bigger than this. We said the din of kavanah l'hayid. About it's not that way. Rashi would have mentioned that. So the chetz kat muchrat that Rashi increases must be understood the way we understood Rashi in Rosh Hashanah. That's why it fits beautifully with Rashi in Makis Tavav. So that's Shittas Rashi b'pashtus. Okay, doctor by an 8 apostle, and there you need that because otherwise the halacha would be absurd. There's no way you could prosecute anybody. What the lumdus is what I said, because once he's an 8 apostle, I need him to be mitzaref to go towards an Agoda. Once again, the muck of it all is the good old Ritzvah. Okay, that's the nikud I want to bring. Now, going back to our sugya, in light of all this. Back to our sugya, we just want to see the Gemara in Erchin again to clarify this nikuda, and then I'll see the Rishonim. So the Gemara in Erchin also brings this same brisa, and there it's a bit clearer. This is the Gemara of Korban Oil V'Yored. The Mishnah, we learned this once. Korban Oil V'Yored, a person brings a different type of korban when he's an ani and a different type of korban when he's an asher. Okay, we know that. There's the Psukim and Chumash. What happens? The Mishnah says, Haya ani v'hashir, ani v'hani. What happens? You were poor and then you became rich, or you were rich and then became poor. So this is the Shai on the Gemara. What happens by Karbanis? What's the halacha? What the halacha by Karbanis? What is the halacha? So the Gemara says as follows. The Gemara says, Mitzayra, Shehevi Karbanaisav Ani, Veheshir, Osher Veheni, Akol Halech Acher Achatos. Divrei Reb Shimon. Reb Yehuda Eimer, Akol Halech Acher Osher. Depends which he brings the korban. The Sanya Reb Lozer B'Yakov Eimer, Akol Halech Acher Atzipayirim. The Gemara says they all learned it from a pasuk. Finally, the Gemara says, "Oh, lamali likidirabi kidisragris." Right? Oh, elamiyata. But who aid? Ad sheyeh kosher mitchilasi v'ad soifa. So the Mashmar says, "But who aid" means you understand means you're always an aid. So the Gemara asks the kasha. The same thing should apply also for karbanis hamitzayim. V'chitema achinami. That for who aid means you have to be constantly an aid kosher. That's the shayla. This is over here. The Gemara says there's a pasuk here because it says on him that it says on the Gabre. What it said Lashon also he's a nani. What's the pasuk? Here it is. Asham dash ashaloi tasiyodi b'tayrasa. If Shimon saver davar mechaper, ma'inin chatas, ma'inin lo asham. Elahu. What's the vahu? What's the vahu for? Who lamali likidarabi, etc. So the who tells me consistency. The Gemara asks the kasha, who tells me consistency? So the who aid seems to be he was always an aid. That was these four pshutas. We're not talking about Adam Psulim here. Is he an aid? The who is consistent. We're talking that he has to be an aid, Beria and B'Shas Agada. He has to be an aid. Memela, so that if the apostle, he's not an aid. It's for who aid. I need a terrorist aid, B'Shas from beginning to end. That's the pasuk. That pasuk of who aid Oiroa Yishama Imla Yagiv Nasa Avain is not talking about psulim. It's talking about adrab. Which type of aid is a kosher aid that if he doesn't say his aid, is chayiv korban shvuas aidus. So which type of aid is a kosher aid? Which if he's makrish his aidus with shvua, he's chayiv korban shvuas aidus. It's who aid that he was an aid kosher. He was an aid from beginning to end. Maybe that's the halacha. Maybe that's I look here, it says, but who aid, that you have to be an aid, mashma, consistent aid from beginning to end. So the Gemara, Shani Asan, Damakra, Oira, Im Lo Yagid. That same part says, Oira, Im Lo Yagid, no Savayna. So, Oira, Yagid, Beria, Vagada Talimilsa. Oira, Im Lo Yagid, look at Rashi. So, Rashi says anything on this? I don't think he says anything. No, it doesn't say anything. I don't understand the drasha too well, but that's the drasha. That the verbs in the pasuk are mudgish, ria and agada. So we think that who aid has to be an aid of ria and aid of agada. This is the Gemara. So what you have over here is very clear when you read the mahalach of the sugya. The mahalach of the sugya is clear that we're looking for one thing. When do you have to be an aid? You have to be an aid b'shas ria, and you have to be an aid b'shas agada. Now, according to that, what would be the din if you're not an aid b'shas riyah, but you're an aid b'shas agada? Not that you're an aid puzzle. You're not an aid. What would the halacha be? It wouldn't work. It's not a question of psul or kashrus. First of all, you have to be an aid. The word is an aid puzzle is also not called v'hu aid. That's what we take for granted. The lashon of the puzzle. The puzzle is v'hu aid. You have to be an aid. What happens? So the Gemara is talking about what happens if he's puzzle. What happens if somehow you decide that, for example, a baldin, and this is where it gets interesting. A baldin, is a baldin an eight puzzle or is it an eight? Well, we all know the famous Ran and Sanhedrin and the Ravid in Makos, which take for granted that a baldin is not an eight to begin with. Not an eight to begin with. That's what he understands. And since he's not an eight to begin with, he's not an eight, not he's an eight puzzle, he's not an eight. That seems to be a double pasha. This is Shittas Ravid, Shittas Ran, also in Sanhedrin Daf Yud Amid Aleph. I think we discussed it multiple times. What would be the din if you're a baldin in the beginning, and then afterwards you became an A, you were no more baldin? Argument is talking about Piteach, V'nistama, Korev and Israchi, these are all Eidim Psulim. What about a person which is a Baldin, which is if you're going to the Ravid, he's not an Eid? What will the halacha be? That's the question on the table, because the Chayrit should be a Davar Pasha, that it won't work. There's no Gemara, the Brises are not the Psukim, we're not talking about Psulim. We're talking about, I don't need a Paslas, I need you, if you're Puzzle, you're not an Eid. That's what the Gemara works with. That's the Chayrit for a Pshuta. That's the what it should be. The mice, what we have is something very interesting. If you have the, it's very late. If you open up the, we'll have to continue this tomorrow. Open up the Rashba in Daf Mem Gimel, and the Tosfos read in Daf Mem Gimel, okay, and the Rimigash in Daf Mem Gimel, and the Ramban Daf Mem Gimel. They all ask a similar question. They are based on this Bryce in Kuf Chav Ches, and also on the Gemara in Erech and Daf Yud Zayin. What's the din? The Gemara says in Daf Mem Gimel, what happens if there is a dion of a Sefer Torah v'shtat, a kiyul Sefer Torah? Now, what's the halacha? So the Gemara says two people should walk away, and then the Noma Nageh B'davar, and then we should be able to judge it. Now, there's a machlekes rishonim, which you should see it inside. The Ramah there, and the Tosfos read there, start by Ramah says that Lamaisa. The pasuk's not, the Gemara is not talking about Edus. As far as Edus is concerned, these people are puzzle, and the silik won't help because we need Chilas V'Sefer B'Kashrus. It's talking about being Dayanim. As far as Edus, it won't help. The Tosfos read goes he goes like this. He starts by saying it's a never push, it's only talking about Dayanim and not about Edus, because you need to Chilas V'Sefer B'Kashrus. Then he goes into a whole spiel that he points out, then he proves his point without going into it. I want to see it tomorrow. If you can look at it, please, that Mem Gimel and Tosfos read. Proving his point through a Yerushalmi. He's like half of the piece. And then the second half of the piece, yeah, but I suddenly checked it and Bavli it says different. It's very interesting how this guy from Yerushalmi. Then says, actually, Acher Kachiyanti, in his Bekiyas, he remembered the Yerushalmi. Okay, Acher Kachiyanti, but there seems to be the Bavli doesn't agree with this. You should look at this very interesting. It's an important piece to see. See the Rashba there too, okay? So do the Rashba Tosfos read and the Ramban and the Rebbe Ger and Rebbe Gashim will finish this tomorrow. Bye guys. Bye Kiva. Regards. Bye.
Thank you, Abby.
Bye Yossi. Bye.